Good morning. Ugh. Hope everybody's doing all right. This is going to be a lot more of a laid back stream. I'm going to tell you that right now. Slept like 4 hours maybe last night. I had to set like 5 alarms to make sure I got up early enough for this shit. But we here, we good. I hope everybody's having a decent Monday, whether it's morning, evening, or night for you, wherever you're at in the world. But yeah, be gonna be playing some The Wolf Among Us. I picked this up yesterday on a whim because I was just thinking like, damn, I have not played this game forever, and I do not have my fucking copy of it anymore. So yeah, now I do again. That's what we'll be doing. How's audio doing today? I went through and added I think a gain filter and a noise limiter onto the mic on this, so it might not be as how do you put it? Not crisp, but gainy, because it was super gainy last time. Good. I'm glad the audio is good and clean. Yeah. So guess what though? So those alarms, they did wake me up, but I was like so groggy that I was like, I don't know if I can actually get up yet. I had like 2 more alarms left. And then I just heard some loud ass, like, I thought it was thunder. And then I just heard like buzzing and sawing not long after. And it turns out they were cutting down a tree outside my house because like one of the neighbors' trees have been getting out of hand and some of the fucking limbs were getting close to the power lines. So thankfully they took care of that. But yeah, that woke me up this morning. So the universe was kind of looking out for me, I guess. So we're awake. We're awake. We don't feel like garbage, and we're gonna play The Wolf Among Us, one of the big TT games. I never watched or played this one, so I am excited to watch. Audio is good and sounds clean. Hell yeah! Glad to hear it. I did up the resolution on this to 1080 now. I think a lot of the problem with prior streams was all the silly little effects I was putting. Like, I was putting a lot of filters on some of the elements in the scenes. I got a little carried away with it, and I think OBS was like, hey, if you want something to look that crazy, maybe go do that yourself in like a GIF or animation instead of trying to apply all these effects inside the streaming system. That's a little silly. Which, yeah, it is. At least for streaming. If it was for recording, it'd probably be fine, but the fact that it's going to be continuous is a little much. Yeah. How's everybody doing this morning, this day, this time, this evening, whatever? It's weird to be streaming on a Monday. I normally would not stream this early, especially on a Monday. But you know, since we're first starting out, you gotta stream at like different times and shit, so. Also, this will help me keep my schedule in line a little bit, so you know. We roll with it. Ugh. But yeah, no. Also, Nick, because you've been playing The Walking Dead, the Telltale Definitive Edition, I went through my library and realized I had all the games except Frontier. So I went out and picked that up off GOG because it was cheaper there. But I'm going to be playing through those on my own too. I'm going to probably start The Walking Dead eventually. And this is going to be on my own free time, obviously. But God, I have not played those games in so long, and it'll be so fun to play them. Speaking of, oh God, I'm still waking up. Sorry, give me a second. This. Speaking of The Walking Dead, don't you have stream coming up about Wait, what? Hold on. I think I messed up. Don't you have a stream coming up that you're doing with The Walking Dead again? Oh yeah, no, I think that's that makes sense. But yeah, Nick recently played through the first season of The Walking Dead, and I believe it's not tomorrow, but Wednesday. Wednesday you're playing. You're starting up season 2, correct? Hell yeah. But yeah, no, if you wanna see a cool streamer play through the Telltale Walking Dead series, go check out Just Nick. And tune in on Wednesday, because they'll be starting up season 2. And if you missed the first season and want to see their experience, watch the VODs. They're there. Yes, the audio levels will be perfect. Yeah, no, I don't. That's another reason. Like, I saw that the Walking Dead Definitive Edition was on sale too, and I thought about picking up, but I was like, I don't know. Maybe I'll rock with the classics and see how the audio is on that. Because I know it does have for the definitive edition some better lighting and visuals and stuff too that they took from the latest version of the game and just put it on the older games. But I have the original, so why not? And I'm also not streaming it, so I can deal with a little old vintage. God, would that be vintage even? It's like, I mean, it's like 10 years old, but I don't think that would be considered vintage, would it? Maybe. Whatever, either way. Yeah. Phil's made some good stuff, and I'm looking forward to The Wolf Among Us 2 whenever that actually gets released. But let's hop over to gaming and let me move this scene off to the side and stuff. I checked on Nexus, but there's no patches for the definitive edition. I wish there was, just for those silly little audio issues, because they're so weird and inconsistent. Yeah, no, it's... I mean, it seemed fine last time I watched. Like, your audio levels were all good. I think a lot of it was just like, with how your mic was, I think the game was overpowering you, and then some moments of like the background audio, not like the actual character speaking, was somehow overpowering that. Like the music and background was overpowering the character audio, which was weird. Uh-oh. Hopefully I can play this with controller. If not, I'll just switch over to keyboard and mouse. It's not the end of the world. We'll try out the smaller screen first. Let me know how the game capture audio is. I could bump it up if I think I will, actually. Hold on. IN. Swap back over to spam. I'll laugh if it says I can't use a controller after all this. After turning it on and everything. If I have to relaunch and all that. Oh, we're good. Missing A. Okay, so A is... What is this level of scuff that I've been having to deal with between Deadly Premonitions, button config, and now this? So, square is A, which should be X, but okay, I will probably play this with the controller. And the audio up. How's that? In the mixer, it's... doesn't seem like it's that loud. Stick to a 7. It's interesting there's no slider for the volume. But I'm sure it's fine. Okay, so this is B. A is square. This is the jankish shit. Oh, okay. Okay. It's fine. And I rebind these. No. Fuck you. Figure it out. Uh I might relaunch and just play with keyboard and mouse. Because I think there are going to be QuickTime events that require me to press certain buttons, and if I don't press them correctly, it probably will auto fail those. Might also be a little right. Go back to your is this retro? Technically, yes, since around 2022. Most. Did I say it? I mean, I guess that's right. It's 2022. Most widely consider anything 360 PS3 backwards is retro. Yeah, yeah, because this would have been like definitely PS3 era, because this came out in like 2015, 2014. I think I was in college when this came out, so yeah. I'm gonna do a thing real quick. Yes, exit, because I can't play this with controller if the keybinds are gonna be all messed up. We don't need to go through the mental torment of that, like how how we are with Deadly Premonition 2 right now, which I'm gonna fix that too, so I don't have to sit there and okay, Square is back and all this bullshit. Launch the game. The controller is off. "2013. That was literally as I was finishing up high school. Then holy shit, that's crazy. That's crazy to think that. Wow. You said it's a little quiet on the menu. I will put the music volume up one more time. Probably a touch because, like you said, it's the menu. If we need to turn it down in game, it's probably good. I would imagine, yeah, the menu is probably just really subdued. Play? We really just get into it. What is extras? Ah, okay, okay. Come back to that maybe. Let's play the game. Here we go. Let's get into The Wolf Among Us. Man, this is taking me back already, though. Oh, wow, okay. Ah, I see, I see. Damn, okay. Yeah, just make me feel even older, Nick. It's fine. Yeah. No, I get that. It is wild, honestly. This game adapts, yep. Go after they were exiled from their homelands, I suppose already, through the use of magic spell called Glamour. They have protected their secret community from the mundane world. Sheriff Bigby Wolf protects them from each other.
105 today again if you missed it. Record for the date. Hottest ever in June. 103 now.
I'm pretty sure I have subtitles on, but I don't think it's gonna show them for the radio.
So 103 with
Unless it didn't save when I put them on.
a lot more humid than say 73 with 31% humidity. And it is muggy out there.
Let me check real quick. Let's play subtitles on. Okay. So, I guess just that doesn't have subs. Big D Wolf. Hell yeah. Big B. More like Big D Wolf. Thank you. You're all weak. Thank you, Nick. Thank you for having the energy to make that joke. Because I could tell you I have none at all right now. A lot of quiet music in this so far, though, which I'm not complaining. It might be a little quieter for you guys. We'll see when people start speaking, and then it blows out my speakers because, you know, there's no fucking voice volume slider for whatever reason. I'm building South Bronx sometime after midnight.
Mr. Toad? Oh, shit. Bigby! Listen, mate, I know I don't look human. It's a problem, I get it. I just stepped out the apartment for just a second to see what kind of damage this drunk shit is doing. Just cut me a break,
Correct.
Yeah?
I mean,
me glamour first thing
yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, what did he say?
I'm looking at a 3-foot toad in a sweater. That's a problem. If you can't afford to look human,
yeah, no, this is definitely a Moorish detective
you can't send me up to live with those animals
type game, which works really well, honestly, with the way that Telltale made their games as kind of like a pseudo point-and-click adventure with a little more level of interactivity. Also, I apologize, I won't talk over him too much.
To have an entire family in glamour. It's not even really worth dwelling on at this point. You're telling me to get it together. Whatever it costs, it's worth it. You don't want me catching you out of glamour again.
Oh, welcome in. Arag,
TG?
Tell me if I'm saying that right. They did quite well with this game, in my opinion. No, that is so true. I remember, oh god, I gotta go.
I should probably go, Hannah. Yes, please.
I remember seeing gameplay. Good morning. Good morning indeed. Welcome in. But yeah, I remember seeing gameplay of this when this came out when I was, like I said, a lot younger. And from what I've seen, the storytelling on this is so great, and just visually. And I guess this is based off of a DC Comics like novel, which I was unaware of. That's what it said in the beginning. It showed Warner Brothers in DC. Let me bump the audio one more time. Actually, no, I don't want to do that because it might minimize. But I will. Bump it in the mixer a little bit. That might help. Might be a little loud. We'll keep it at 9. Be good in the mixer now. Is it louder than me? Find out.
Hey, look at me.
Go ahead and grab this. I mean, I should probably have some urgency because it does sound like there's a scuffle, but the matches might be useful. Hung up phone.
Take a look. Take a good look. Know who I am now?
You know, you gotta...
Hey, look at me.
Goog says it's a spin-off of a long-running DC comic series, Fables. Okay, good. I'm glad the audio is solid. Yeah, let's go get in here and stop whatever this this bullshit is. Let's just kick the door in.
God damn you! Know who I am
Whoa,
now?
whoa, hey,
don't
hey!
Domestic, yep.
You've got something on your face.
Fuck are you talking about, you stupid? I'll fucking kill you! You fucker!
All right, right here.
Bruh.
What are you gonna fucking do, huh? Get the fuck out of the way before you get the axe again.
You're drunk, all right? Think this through. If you keep on like this, I won't have any choice but to put you down.
Put me down? You got a shit fucking memory, Wolf. That's not how it went last time.
This isn't last time. You gotta calm down. Had enough?
Oh shit, we're in it now.
It's a fucking challenge.
No thoughts, just punch. Blast him.
Go fuck yourself.
Guess we're just gonna break everything in the house. Right in the shin. Knee. In the... yeah, whatever. It's all body. Oh no, not the axe. Is it hold? No, it's spam Q. Okay. Full ass beat down.
You should
He probably would have been
Look,
fine.
I'm
I
not
probably
leaving
didn't have to
until I
hit him
get
with the
what's
last
mine.
You're
bit,
not
but
getting shit, bitch.
oh shit, we fucked his jaw up.
Put you on the ground. You hear me?
Say that word one more time.
What? Bitch?
What did I say?
Bro.
Oh, fucking shit.
I think we might be doing a no nonsense hard ass playthrough a little bit here. I apologize.
Fuck you.
Oh god.
Shit. What are you doing here?
These lips are sealed. Look, this is just the start of a shitty night for me. I just need the money he owes me, then I can go.
Are you all right?
I'm hunky-dory. Thanks for asking.
I already asked
Why
if
was he
she's
hitting
alright.
you?
Maybe you should ask him that.
I will, but I asked you first.
He asked me if I recognized him, knew who he was. I said I didn't. He started beating on me. Then you showed up, started beating on him. That about cover it, hun?
I'm the woodsman, you whore. I saved Little Red Riding Hood from this monster. I cut this fucker open and filled his belly full of stones and threw him in the fucking river. That's who the fuck I am, you stupid bitch!
Would you excuse me for a moment?
By all means.
Come on!
Yeah, I'm sure that's fine.
Shit.
This isn't a problem at all. Fucking
Hey, Toad.
Toad.
My car.
Yeah. Give me a second.
Oh, no, by all means. Take your time. Make yourself comfortable.
How's your insurance? Is real?
So, how good is your insurance?
I can't be mad at you. I called you, and you come to help. I can't be mad. But even when you help, things end up more fucked than they started. Well, at least you're not fucking dead.
Shit. Holy fuck. My poor Q key.
I know you're fucking in there. Come on out, you fucking dog. I'll put you out of your misery.
Okay, so this is not an event we can win.
Come on, bro. You ignorant fuck. Come on out, Wolf.
Oh shit. That's probably fine. Just put a band-aid on it or something. You were not wrong. The axe is his finisher. Good call on that, Nick.
What are you doing?
I'm just getting what he owes me. You all right back there? I mean, your eyes and the teeth? You're not really supposed to do that, are you?
Not if I can avoid it.
Great.
The guy's got an axe in his brain. He's not feeling that.
It's more from me. He'll be fine.
I'll kill you, you fucking bitch.
Let me help you.
Yeah, he kind of deserves it. He's out of line.
There's two of us. I guess it's a good thing fables are hard to kill.
Suppose it is.
Just come on.
Hey, remember those matches I grabbed? What an opportune timing.
Here.
Thanks.
Though, shit, granted, maybe that matchbook could have been a clue for later.
Who do you work for, really?
It's fine.
These lips are sealed. Sorry. Hey, you like my ribbon?
If you don't answer my questions, I can't help you.
I'm answering them the best that I can.
I feel like we've met before.
We probably have. We all sort of knew each other at one point or another. But things change, I guess.
I guess.
Damn. He left her with a hell of a shiner. That's fucked.
Shit.
He's already on the move.
Stop. We don't have to make any more of a thing out of it than it already is.
It's not just about you. I can't have him running around the city in the state he's in.
Good, because I was just starting to worry it was all about me.
That's not what I mean. How much was it he owed you?
100.
I'm guessing it'd be Dad for you to show up empty-handed.
I'll be fine.
Let's see, I've got, it's 20, 40, 7, 8, 58. That's all I got. It'll help, right? Take it.
It's okay. I'll be fine. You've done enough, really.
Just take the money, okay?
You got me out of a bad situation back there. Thanks.
I'm still gonna need a statement.
Honestly, he should really be giving that money to Toad, but you know.
Meet me back at my office then.
It's a little late for an office visit, Sheriff. I'll swing by your apartment.
How do you know where I...
You live in the smallest apartment in the Woodlands. Everyone
Not
knows
only
that.
for the car and the
You know.
the
You
car
should get cleaned up.
damage,
You
but
look-
you know, for that
I don't
glamour
use that
to
lightly.
help him out of that.
Some of these look pretty bad.
Wow. Tell me what you really think.
Hey. I need to tell you something.
What is it?
You're not as bad as everyone says you are. I'll see you around, Wolf.
So wait, that was chapter 1, episode 1 already? Damn, alright. Trying to remember how many chapters are even in this without looking. But imagine there's at least 4, given how Telltale likes to do is they're 4 or 3. Yeah, no. Well, that was, so it said chapter 1, episode 1. So I think now we're on episode 2. Instead of, I think they segment them and, no, what the hell? It said I completed it. I think we just started episode 1. I don't fucking know, dude. Either way, I got an achievement that said I completed chapter 1, episode 1, but it's whatever, man. Do this before we head on in.
Luxury apartments. Wish they wouldn't advertise that.
Hmm. Stay off the grass.
Some can sometimes be a disciplinarian.
Sadly, we cannot step on the grass. Who the fuck?
There's no walking on the grass, no White's orders. She made a sign and everything.
I'll be sure to send her an apology.
Beauty.
Hello, Bigby. I wasn't expecting anyone. I know this looks a little odd, but there's an explanation, I swear. Look, if you don't have anything to say, I'm just gonna... Damn it, I'm late. Please, Bigby. Promise me you won't tell Beast you saw me. He worries too much as it is, and It would just make my life a lot easier. Just, please.
Look, whatever it is, it's between you and Beast. I'm staying out of it.
I don't have time to go into it right now. I'll explain it all to you later. I will, but I have to go. It's not what you might be thinking.
Yeah, I should have pressed her on what she was doing out here in the middle of the night or whatever. At least get some kind of answer instead of saying silent. But I figured she would just waffle into saying why the fuck she was out herself. Let's look at this suit arm.
Flycatcher needs to dust this guy.
Man sleeping, man eeping.
Been a while since I got any mail.
We got any mail? Empty.
7th day in a row.
Yep. And surprising. I'm tempted to touch the suit of armor. Feel like this is a person. Oh, just a suit of armor.
Hey, you awake?
Grimble's passed the fuck
Probably
out.
for the best.
Did we not look at him? I feel like we looked at him. Let's see. Look at the directory. I don't know why, but my mind blanked and I got none of that. All I seen was Grimble. Grimble. It's what one? 206. That's probably who we need to see. Oh. What's this? God damn it.
Thing fell off again.
Of course. Why not? Okay, I can.
How much longer is this gonna go on?
Around the rest of the room first. Might be it though. Can I not look at this paper? Alright, let's head up to my office probably. Or I guess I should say Bigby's office.
Bigby, hey, wait up. Have you seen my wife? Have you seen Beauty?
I'm staying out of it.
Out of what?
Whatever it is, Beast. I'm not a marriage counselor.
Damn it. Something's going on.
Damn, should have cracked a window. Why do I even own this? Should have got a smaller one.
You know, it's crazy. So I used to be a smoker, and obviously I'm not anymore. I forgot a lot of people put their cigarette cartons in the fucking fridge because I guess it makes them last longer or some shit. Like, I was thinking, like, yeah, no, he'll open the fridge and probably grab a beer after a long day. It kind of took me aback seeing cigarettes in there. I was just like, oh yeah, people do that, don't they? That is a depressing freezer. I mean, the fridge isn't much better, but damn. Yeah, no, I guess, yeah, it just makes them preserve for longer. I kind of get it to a degree. Yeah, I don't really understand it much either, Nick. I think a lot of it just has to do with it somehow preserves it because the tobacco isn't getting air as much as it. I don't know, it's already in a carton, it's in a box, or I don't know, it's weird. Look at the takeout.
Don't even remember ordering that. Probably a bad sign.
I'm sure it's fine. It's probably like 8-day-old takeout. What could go wrong?
At least this still works.
Also, dear God, that's a lot of cigarette butts. Look at this file.
Bluebeard's file. Never trusted this guy.
It's unlocked. So, achievement real quick. Yeah, okay. Okay, so it's by episode, and each episode has multiple chapters in it. That makes more sense. It looks like there is 5 of them, unless those are little extra achievements or some shit. Okay. I'm gonna take a moment to look through the fables. Obviously, we got Bigby Wolf, the renowned Big Bad Wolf. He's known for tormenting pigs and girls and red hoods, but is trying to put those dark days behind him. Bigby now acts as a Fabletown's sheriff and remains in its human form mostly. However, due to his rough past, the citizens of Fabletown are slow to trust him. Bigby is determined to show that he's truly changed, but some instincts are just hard to control. Let's look at the Woodsman. The Woodsman is one of the few men who went toe-to-toe with Bigby in his Black Forest days and lived to tell the tale. Tell the tale. In an attempt to save Little Red Riding Hood, he split the Great Wolf's belly open with his axe, filled him full of rocks, and threw the beast into a river. To his dismay, his popularity has faded, even his name is forgotten, and he is only known as the Woodsman. Beauty. Beauty and her husband Beast once lived in an enchanted castle, but they were forced to flee the homelands in the Exodus, leaving all of their wealth behind. Now they live in a modest studio in Fabletown, New York. Though times are hard with Beast, working multiple jobs to pay the bills, the couple have the longest lasting relationship of all Fables. That's insane. Considering if these guys are as old as the fables that they come from, that is a long ass relationship. Also, caring wife. Let's go back real quick. Fabletown sheriff, fallen hero, caring wife. Cool. Move on to Beast. Concerned husband. Beast and his wife Beauty left everything behind when they escaped the homelands in Exodus. Without his former wealth, Beast must pick up extra work to make ends meet. able to get around Fabletown without a glamour most of the time, but if beauty gets too angry with him, he becomes more beastly by the minute, growing horns and large teeth. Interesting. Despite the occasional bickering, the two are truly in love and have the longest lasting relationship of anyone in Fabletown. Right. Mr. Toad is the superintendent for a defunct tenement on the edge of Fabletown proper, also slumlord. Because he is 3.5 foot, because he's a 3.5 foot talking amphibian, Toad is required by Fabletown law to keep his family and himself magically glamored to appear human. Problem is, Toad isn't too concerned with what the law is and has to be reminded often. Fabletown is a community located on Bullfinch Street in Manhattan's Upper West Side. Regular people, or Mondays, fuck, okay. It appears to be an ordinary New York neighborhood, but it is really the home of fables from many worlds. And within the business office at the Woodlands lies a massive cavern, a vast library, and hundreds of magical items of immense power. All non-human fables live upstate on the farm, an extension of Fabletown. Wow, there's probably like 2 more of these to go through, thankfully. I think we'll probably come back to these after the start of like every chapter. Maybe, just to keep updated. There might be some things that get spoiled somewhat in the story, I guess, with these. Like the whole thing with the more Beauty gets angry with Beast, the more he becomes monstrous. I think that was something, obviously, we would find out later maybe, but probably fine. The farm is home to fables who cannot pass as humans, giants, goblins, animals, etc. It is located in upstate New York, far enough away from the Mondays to avoid detection. Some of its residents resent their confinement to the farm. Despite its size and comforts to them, the farm is a prison. They would be allowed to leave. Farm is a prison. They would be allowed to leave the farm if they could purchase a glamour, but many don't have the money for something so expensive, though some, like Colin, sneak out into the city anyways. Right. We'll cover glamour and I'll leave Bluebeard for later, because we haven't met him yet. Glamours are spells that allow the user to change their appearance. They are expensive, but can be purchased by non-human fables in order to pass for humans among the Mondays. Cheap glamours can be found in the seedier parts of Fabletown, but they are often unreliable and prone to sudden failure. There's Bluebeards, which we will read next time. It's relevant? Maybe? I don't know. Maybe it's relevant now, and maybe we should study up on him. Like, I'm trying to think, should we play this from the perspective of, like, should we know what Bigby knows, or should we go into this completely blind and try to fumble around? I think because this is a detective game, I think if we find files and stuff like that, maybe we should just read them immediately, so we're in the know of, like, oh, this is this guy, you know, he's an asshole. We're like, oh, this is this guy, he's actually a good guy, but he's just a little weird. We'll read Bluebeard's real quick and get back to it. Bluebeard, wealthy scoundrel. Bluebeard managed to escape the homelands with his riches intact, and continues to be one of the wealthiest fables in New York. The Fabletown government depends on his generous contributions, and he often uses his influence for his own benefit. As a former serial killer, he claims his days of decapitating his brides are over. But even if he was able to leave his violent ways in the homelands, that hasn't stopped him from making the occasional trip down Crooked Lane. So yeah. Pretty seedy past, now he's big official with loads of money. probably making all the Fabletown laws and regulations while probably not adhering to them because, you know, whatever. That's fine, I guess.
Should help.
The fan on. Because look who it is.
Not again.
Forgot Bigby has a roommate.
Hey, Colin. Get up.
Yeah. I figured. Do a little prod in the pig now.
Oh, hey, Big B. I'm in your chair, huh?
I've only got the one. So yeah.
I tell you what, this game is such a vibe. Like, I know we're early on, the action scenes aren't that crazy yet, aside from like the woodsman fight, but even then that wasn't too bad.
Got a smoke?
But like otherwise, it's just like
Thanks.
such a chill,
Couple thousand more
fucking
of
laid
these,
back,
we'll be
slow
even on that
vibe,
house you owe me.
which works really well for
This
me
has
playing
gotta stop.
this early in the
Can't
fucking
keep
morning.
sneaking off the farm like this.
The fresh air and sunshine pitch they sell you on is bullshit. I didn't escape out of the homelands to end up in some prison, okay? Don't send me back there, Bigby. You don't know what it's like, okay? You haven't been there.
Don't be a pain in the ass. I'll tell you what I told Toad.
And what's that?
Nothing. Because he knows better. Probably.
That for me?
Nope.
The house didn't blow itself down, Bigby. That's all I'm saying. Do with that what you will. Now, I'm not saying it's reason enough for me to have definitely been offered a drink, but, it would have helped ease some of the pain you once caused me, yes? It also would have shown everyone how different you are now. Nice. I take it all back. This is why everyone hates you.
It wasn't murder. I was hungry.
Yeah, well, I'm hungry now. You don't see me tearing the flesh off of your bones.
But you would if you could.
Probably. But, no. Hate's the wrong word. They fear you more than anything. You ate a lot of people back in your day.
I thought we were all supposed to have a fresh start here. I can't change the past.
Well, you can't change people's memories either. Look, I'm not saying it's fair, but it's real. People are scared of you. I mean, look at your hands. Who'd you get in a fight with? A fable, right? I'm sure you're not going around punching Mondays.
I was doing my job, believe it or not.
Your job is to beat the shit out of fables.
Sometimes I take them to the farm.
Fuck you.
You think my job is easy? You try keeping a bunch of fables from killing each other. How do you think this all works?
I don't know. How?
By being big and being bad.
By being big and being bad. Don't say that shit in front of people. It's embarrassing. That's the attitude that gets you in trouble. I'm sure you were shitty to everyone you came across tonight.
Not everyone.
Name one.
I don't actually know her name.
Awesome. Great example. Life is easier with friends, Bigby. And we live a long fucking time. I know you like
I
this
feel like
whole
I was
lone
pretty
wolf
nice
thing
to
you got going
everybody
for
except the
yourself.
woodsman
But I've
and
seen the way you look at Snow, okay? You're not fooling me.
Maybe
You
not
shut
be
up.
so much.
Well, maybe if my throat wasn't so parched, I wouldn't have to keep talking.
Wait, that doesn't make
Just
sense.
give me a drink, please.
Colin, enough already. I haven't slept in 2 days. I went out a second-story window, and I want to get in 2 seconds of shut-eye before I... Look, if I give you this, will you let me sleep?
Yeah, all right. Probably. Thanks, Bigby.
So we just open the door. Looking through the people.
Bigby,
Snow?
come with me.
Snow. Snow!
What? Sorry, I'm... What is it?
What happened?
I just can't get into it this second. We need to hurry to...
Hi.
Hello. Good morning. Or evening.
Yeah.
These walls are paper thin. We need to be careful. We'll talk outside.
That was chapter 2 of episode 1, apparently. Yeah, no, these chapters go by quick. Seems like every scene transition tends to be a chapter. Oh, hey, that was G. Rimble. I would imagine that was his jacket. Oh God.
No.
You knew this girl? Is...
That's
she's not Mundy, right?
very unfortunate.
Who was she? I thought I knew everyone in Fabletown. She looks familiar. I can't place her, though.
A working girl?
A working girl? I don't...
Sorry, that's the most
I'm a
like
worker.
monotone, subdued
Oh.
fucking reaction. I'm just so fucking tired. That fucking sucks though.
He attacked her, I stepped in. And he threatened to kill us both.
No. You don't think he...
I don't think anything yet. Just give me a second.
It's just... terrible. It took me a second to realize what I was even looking at.
So, who found her?
I did. She was just like this. I didn't touch her. I grabbed Grimble's jacket to cover her with. Then, I came to get you right away.
No one else was with you?
No. Big P, did one of us do this?
There hasn't been a murder in Fabletown in a long time.
All the more reason we shouldn't start a panic before we know what's going on.
There's only a few people who I can think of
Have
who
a
would
look
have an
around.
MO.
We don't have much time before people will be coming through here.
One being whoever she worked for because she came up short. And the other being possibly the woodsman.
She was placed here with some care.
What do you mean?
You can see that someone didn't just toss her here. She was deliberately placed for us to find.
What kind of monster would do this?
What is?
And her fucking ribbon. Sure enough.
Her ribbon. There's
The ring
some
attached.
kind of symbol here.
Huh. I don't recognize it.
Neither do I. Strange cut. What did this to her?
What could do something like that?
Either something very sharp or something with magic attached to it.
Blood trail.
I'm sorry. This is just so surreal. What do you want to do next?
Yeah,
We still have
investigate
some
more.
time. I should keep investigating the area.
Okay, good idea.
Damn blood trail. We do anything with the ring. Can't examine it further. Typically, I wouldn't touch the
Drops
blood,
of blood.
but given he's a
Been
wolf,
here
maybe he can pick
an
up
hour,
a
maybe?
scent or something, because maybe it's not her blood. There was a struggle. We only have the head to work off, so can't really tell. And to mention
No
she was in
signs
that
that it's
altercation
been
with
here
the
long.
woodsman earlier anyways, so... Did you say no sign of what?
Fabric. Looks like jeans. Doesn't tell me much.
Somebody wearing pants. Good sign that it was somebody wearing pants. The trash. Know what ends up in the trash.
Just some loose trash.
Okay, well, no smoking gun. Oh, there's blood on here.
More blood. Someone might have hopped the fence, got caught, then left the trail I found earlier.
Okay. So it wasn't her
Blood.
blood.
Still wet. Sharp enough.
I mean, I would think we could climb over that fence, but let's check the other side just in case there's something over here, maybe. Go over here. There's another clue. Maybe the blood is from when they jumped over. No, okay. But maybe they hopped over the fence, tore their chain, got hurt, dropped the head off, ran off the other way, but doesn't seem like it.
What are you doing?
Better to be thorough.
Sure, just hurry up. We don't have much time.
Different shade.
We should move her before anyone shows up. We'll find out more at the business office. She'll be in the books. I'm sure of it. Bigby, do you have any idea what's going on? How did this happen? Why her?
This is a message.
A message? I don't know, Bigby. I get complaints at the office all the time, but just what about this makes you think that?
The victim. She could be a symbol for something.
I'm gonna have to tell Crane about this. As long as King Cole is gone, he's acting mayor. He needs to know. And he's going to find out anyway, so we may as well get out in front of it. It'll just be worse if he finds out we held it from him.
I guess it's useless to drag it out.
That's how I feel too. I'm sure he won't be happy, but it's just part of the process. Hopefully he can be rational about it.
I wouldn't hold my breath.
I'm not.
I just don't want him interfering.
Crane's not what's important right now. We need to figure out who this girl was so we can find whoever did this. Take this back to Dr. Swinehart. He can take a look at it. I'll meet you at the business office.
Damn, that was chapter 3 already, too? Okay.
What are you, blind? What, you don't see there's a line? I've been standing here a half hour already. You get to just walk in? Must be nice being the sheriff. Do whatever the fuck you like.
I work here.
And what great work you do, Sheriff.
That didn't feel very genuine.
Fucker.
Yes, I see. Because you are the one bringing this to me, Miss Snow. The one who so simply stumbled upon this catastrophe on our very doorstep. The last thing I need with Mayor Cole away is a hysteria. Do you understand me?
Yes, of course I
Don't
do.
interrupt me, Miss Snow.
You asked me a question.
Don't change the subject. You are to blame for this unpleasantness, Miss Snow.
I brought you this news as soon as I could.
You are trusted to keep things running smoothly around here. This is a disaster.
It isn't anyone's fault. Instead of trying to assign blame, maybe we should figure out how to catch the fucker who did this.
Oh, is that how you see things? Sheriff, you are the one charged with protecting the citizens of Fabletown. Your failure to do so cost someone their life and the safety of the entire community. Tell me you've been doing something. Are there any leads? Suspects? Anything. Anything at all. Any shred of evidence you two know what the hell you're doing. Because right now, I have half a mind to fire the both of you.
The woodsman is a person of interest. From what we've been able to gather, he was last seen with the victim.
The woodsman? That drunk wretch was the cause of this?
It's a lead. Nothing's certain yet.
Well, find him. Get him in here if that's all you have to go on. You two need to get a handle on this situation quickly and quietly. The last thing we need is all of Fabletown knowing there's a killer amongst us. Snow.
Yes? Sir?
Call Vivian right this minute and let her know I'm coming in early for my massage.
I will.
Really
Where
don't
is
like
the bottle
Crane.
of wine you were to purchase? Oh, bother. Forget it. Can't do anything right.
Bruh.
Do your job, Sheriff. Or we'll find someone who can.
You know what?
You know what?
Stop. We'll get on it right away, sir. You would have just pissed him off more.
All right.
Well, that could have gone better. Well, maybe we should have dragged it out.
For what it's worth, I still think it was better to tell him.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, Crane doesn't like people smoking and... Never mind. Smoke away.
Wine
What
to
was
a
the wine about?
massage?
Probably a gift. The weird part of that is that he's actually being nice to someone. I know I bought that damn bottle.
Is he gone?
Yes, thankfully.
You little shit.
Buffkin!
Hello, Miss Snow.
Drinking? This early? Where did you get that?
It was by Mr. Ichabod's desk.
Then don't you think it probably belongs to him?
Maybe. How are you today, Mr. Bigby?
I'm not great.
Hasn't been a great morning, Buffkin.
Sorry.
Not your fault. Thanks for asking, though.
Buffkin, get the books.
Which books?
The ones with all the fables in it.
Not sure that was any more specific.
Bring the first 3.
Be back in a few minutes.
He knows the ones I'm talking about. There's bound to be information on her here. Somewhere. We'll at least be able to get her real name from the books whenever Buffkin finds them. In the meantime, poke around. Maybe the mirror can help. I really have to get this appointment squared away, but let me know if you need anything.
Or I guess on the...
Hello, Vivian? Hi.
What would you even call that? I mean, I know it's a standing mirror, but like,
Hi. Yes,
I guess
I'm
the
just calling to
frame,
let you know that, Mr.
arm,
Crane's schedule
the
seems to be
chair.
filled up for the rest of the day, and he's coming in early for his
I mean, we could just ask a genie for help too. Let's have a little poke around before we commit to anything.
No, we got your info.
Nothing over here.
It should be squared away.
A mirror, and genie lamp.
No.
Feel like mirrors progression. I wanna take a little poke at the lamp.
Magic lamps are pretty much just lamps after the genie's been freed.
Reside in that now.
Yes, I mean, I question it only.
Does it?
Worth a try.
Yeah, okay.
Well, that's not what I have here.
Let's look at the mirror. Same.
Hey, magic mirror. I got a question.
You know the rule.
I don't have time for this shit.
Your impatience is callow. You're needlessly cruel, but have some respect for our history and rules.
Mirror, mirror. If you're able, tell me all about this fable.
See? Was that so hard?
Yeah, I'm about 2 seconds away from kicking a hole in you.
There's no need for that. Fine. Of which fable do you wish to know?
Show me the woodsman. Where is he?
What you see is complete. The woodsman stumbles down a street.
No shit. Which street?
I'm sorry, Bigby. I can only show you what can be seen.
What's Buffkin doing?
Buffkin.
I feel like he's being a little shit again.
Hey, put down the bottle and get to work.
Still looking!
Surely he's not still drinking.
Show me Buffkin. Hey,
Brother.
put down the bottle and get to work.
Okay, so they just had to check to make sure. Didn't know if they'd change out the animation or anything or what. Nope. He couldn't possibly be still drinking. No, we're gonna continue. Show me Snow, which of course she's just right over there.
Not much of a request. She's in this very room.
And then I don't know her name.
Not yet, anyway.
Well, until you do, I can't help you.
Alright.
Nobody right now.
Very well. Please return should you wish to ask about someone else. Or someone new.
Yep.
Well, I'm sure we'll get it all cleared up. Okay. Thank you.
Alright, let's go look through some files. Big book, we got this one. Let's start with the bigger book, because the bigger book probably isn't it.
We'll start with these. Any information on fables in our community will be somewhere in these books.
Beauty.
and happier days. And her man, Beast.
Funny.
Me.
Bad Wolf.
And
Mr.
him.
Woodsman.
The woodsman?
Yep. And his axe. And the
That would
two
be
of them.
Red Riding Hood,
Story
right?
was.
You're getting
Snow
warmer.
White.
But that's me.
Yeah, dwarves. Less said about that, the better.
Scary looking, very gaunt eyes. Alan over there.
And his brothers. Ichabod Crane. Scared shitless.
What's that?
Your boss. His finest moment. Hard to understand how he ended up running this place.
Well, maybe it's time that changed.
Indeed. I just noticed that. Look at that in a second. That's Mr. Toad, definitely right there. I don't know who
Haven't
this
seen
is.
Badger around for a while.
He likes his privacy, I think.
I wish Toad would like his a bit more.
So here we go. This is what we're here for. Is the ring same symbol. Give that a little look.
I've seen this before. This symbol on the man's clothes, it's the same as the rings.
Could be her father or husband. This has most of the emblems of the old days and usually what family they come from. If it's in here, we'll have her name.
All right. The Tree of Life, Yggdrasil stuff.
What?
I can't read any of this shit.
I can help.
Yeah, thanks.
We look out for each other.
Don't overdo it. Buffkin, translate.
An exquisite design from the good china of Toad Hall.
Mr. Toad?
He probably wrote this in himself.
Oh, maybe not. I mean, surely, yeah, no, Yggdrasil. Okay. Ties to the Celtic knot. Got souls, we don't need to worry about that. Wow, I didn't expect it to just be on the next page. Well, what about this?
This looks familiar.
Yes, from the Axe of the Woodsman, a druid blessing, actually.
Someone bless that thing.
I only translate.
And then looks like the isn't actually
What's it say?
English
about
text.
It says Bricklebit in an older elvish hand.
that? What's Bricklebit?
A magic word.
What's it do?
Makes animals shit gold.
Yeah. Okay.
What's that?
It reads, Mark of the House of the Frog Prince.
Not quite who I'm looking for.
Oh, I know it's not. Oh, we can actually do the progression thing.
This is the one. Where's this symbol from? Which family or story?
That's an odd one. Family name? Allerleirauh? I'll go look it up.
Allerleirauh. That means every kind of fur in German.
Donkey skin.
Yes. What does it say?
Donkey skin girl, also known as donkey skin. Also known as ass skin. Prefers to go by the name Faith. Poetic?
Buffkin, we don't need the commentary.
The story of Donkey Skin. There was once a great king with a beautiful queen. The queen grew ill and had her husband promise to only marry the most beautiful girl in the kingdom. After a long search, it became clear that the only woman in the land that could match her beauty was... his daughter, Faith.
Oh.
She had a magic cloak made from the skin of her father's prized donkey that would hide her beauty so she could escape his kingdom. Eventually, she married a prince who could see past the magic cloak and knew her true beauty. And they lived happily ever after.
Sad. That's sad and yucky.
Should I mark it, Miss Snow?
Yes. Please. And what's her husband's name?
Lawrence. Prince Lawrence.
We got what we came for.
Yeah.
Her name's Faith. She was married to Prince Lawrence. I mean, that's more than we...
Her name was Faith.
Yeah.
We should talk to the husband.
You think he did it?
Nothing would surprise me at this point. We can't rule him out.
Doubt it was him, but we need to gotta work on the leads that we have. Get away from... Oh, right, it's over here. Towards the camera. There we go. Yeah, here.
Tarot cards. Jack brought them back from Appalachia. Who knows where they were before then? Or what he did to get them.
So ideally, you probably shouldn't fuck with somebody else's tarot deck. But Big B doesn't know that.
I guess it comes in all forms.
Also, it's just 3 cards anyways. Rank the tower.
Just what the fuck is this supposed to
No
be?
swords. Why did he... So he pocketed the 10 of swords. That's interesting. Alright. Now that we have... I can show the mirror the 10 of swords? Sure, let's do that. The mirror knows everything. Start
You know
with
what
that.
this means?
Tarot is a backwards art. I wouldn't put too much stock in its wisdom, Bigby.
Not when you've been so helpful.
Prevision's muddy. I'm as clear as a window.
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense for him to fumble his way into doing something potentially bad with supernatural things mistakenly. Yeah. Yeah, no, I could see Big B just being like, not giving a shit. Plus, like I said, it's just 3 tarot cards and not a full deck. So it's weird that it's just those 3 sitting there. Like, I don't think it's a coincidence, but it could be. Shut up. You know, Big B, yeah, go ahead. Give yourself another. Yeah. You're looking good, Big B. But yeah, no, that does make sense for Bigby's character, Nick. He is kind of just like, I'm just doing my job.
Mirror, mirror,
whatever,
blah,
dude.
blah, Abel, blah, blah, blah about this fable.
Of
Like,
which fable do you wish to
tired
know?
as hell, not giving a shit, just trying to do his job so he can relax. Look on Faith's father
Show me
first.
Faith's father, the old king.
Okay, well, he's dead.
Guess that crosses him off the suspect.
He's not on
list.
the list, yeah. He's on a different kind of list, but he's also dead, so... Yeah. Not gonna look at Faith. Well... I don't feel like there's anything to gain from it.
Show me Faith.
Through
You're just gonna show the
powerful
head?
magic, her whereabouts concealed. Unfortunately for you.
See, okay,
these
no,
lips
it's good
are sealed.
that we did that.
These lips are sealed. It's not my choice of phrasing, Bigby. It's simply the way this has to be.
Because that implies that she was had a spell cast on her, or whoever, you know, her pimp was, or whoever gave her the ribbon, or whatever the hell it is that is making people have to say that. Good to know. Welcome in, Mamo Pazus 856. I humbly prestate my presence amidst the august confines of this distinguished assembly. Thank you for coming in. We're just playing a little Wolf Among Us. We're just crossing off, checking all our boxes and stuff.
He's a prince, I think. Show me Prince Lawrence.
Hope you're having a good day, Mamo. Ammon?
Where
Excuse
is
me.
this?
Where's
I missed the end.
Do you know where Prince Lawrence lives?
If he's a prince, probably relocated in the South Bronx. Yellow building, red window shutters.
Red frames.
Yep, that's the one. I can take us there.
I think we've gathered all we can from the mirror.
Right now.
Anything we can use?
Yeah, that'll have to do for now.
Come on, we're going over there. Sorry, I have to get that. Hello, Woodland's business office. Yes, He is. Hold on. Bigby, it's for you.
Bigby, it's me, Toad. You there?
What do you want?
Bigby, shit. Listen, right, there's a bloke upstairs going through all the woodsman's things. Get over here, Bigby, before he... Oh, wait, hang on. Oi, shit. Hey!
What was that about?
Hard to say. Something going on over at Toad's place.
What about Faith's husband?
I don't know, I couldn't really tell. But he could be in trouble. And we should go there anyway to search her apartment. Toad might have to wait.
Whenever you're ready.
I feel like we have to make a very critical decision coming up.
Did Toad
Both
say who
seem
was there?
pretty...
Was it the woodsman?
I don't know.
Pretty
it's
pertinent.
possible. Whoever it was, it didn't seem like Toad was happy to see him.
Well, maybe Prince
Please don't
Lawrence
kill
can wait.
Toad.
Yeah, he didn't see him. He could use
I
some
mean,
help too.
I don't intend to.
Well, where to first?
Bigby, shit. Listen, right, there's a bloke upstairs going through all the woodsman's things.
You think he did it? What's her husband's name?
Lawrence. Prince Lawrence.
I mean, I haven't played this game forever, but you saying that makes me think we should go check on Toad first. From what I remember, I don't think Toad dies immediately if you don't go there. No, that's true. I feel like with this, though, we'll be able to get answers for this still either way. I kind of missed the image from the magic mirror, so given that, we'll go check on Toad.
Toad. Bigby.
Toad sounds like he needs help right now. We can check in on Prince Lawrence after.
Okay. I'm not looking forward to breaking the news to him anyway.
And we ended up going out the window, and I landed on Toad's car.
You guys made a real mess.
Yeah. Looks worse than the day.
Is Somebody up there?
Wait here. Shit.
I'm sorry!
That's enough, all right? Just shut it!
Surely I'm not on a...
I don't even remember half of this shit.
No, okay, this is just all from... But I don't need to worry about it.
Is that his son?
Toads? I think.
Be nice in there, okay?
Hey, Toad. You in there?
Bigby! And Miss White! Surely you didn't come all this way just for my bother? Sorry, Bigby. It's embarrassing to have to admit, but I thought there was someone else in Woody's place. There wasn't, though. Not when I checked. Nothing but a leaky drain pipe. Imagination must have got the best of me. So, you know, false alarm. Sorry for dragging Miss White into this.
There was someone, but they took off when we got here.
Is that right? I guess your dad's ears have a year or two left. Haven't gone totally to the dogs, eh?
Are you alright?
He's fine, Miss White. Just stung his little toe. Better swimmer than walker, just like his dad.
Wanna...
So, I guess you'll be taking off now. No need to hang around here anymore. I mean, I'm sorry you came all the way here for nothing. But it was nothing, really. I just don't want to waste your time, is all. But all right. Have a seat. Have a cup of tea. Whatever you like.
Phew. Grown-ups. Am I right? Hey, you know what? Flycatcher said you had a pretty awesome insect collection. I'd really love to see it. Is it in your room?
Yeah, I agree, Nick. I too do not like this Toad's vibe right now.
Cool.
I feel like there's definitely something going on that he's trying to keep hush-hush
Mind the
about.
upholstery while you're looking for nothing.
Yeah.
Whether for it's him and his son's protection or what, I'm not sure of yet. But something's going on. Obviously, there's a fucking smashed lamp right here. So something happened. They're obviously being extorted or something. To not, you know, speak about whoever the fuck was up there.
Uh-huh. The lamp just fell off the table.
Or the boy was faffing about, playing salts and saltfish. Who knows with the lad?
Yeah, he definitely is hiding something. I agree. But once again, I can understand if it's for his, for him and his son's protection, but at the same time, like... Yeah, I don't think that's ketchup, Toad. What's going on?
You bleeding?
Why? Is that...
Blood. Still fresh.
Oh, well, I cut me hand. Ran around like a tit trying to pick out a wrap. Must have got some on the furnishments. Lamp in pieces, blood on the wall. It's awful, I know.
Sounds painful.
Oi, don't you go mother-henning now. The wound didn't sit very long, you know. Perks of being a fable, I suppose. And a frog.
Hmm. This is where the lamp was.
That more blood?
No, just a clean space in the dust. Did you move something?
Ah, maybe one of Junior's toys or something. I mean, who knows?
Like where the lamp was.
If you're gonna say something, out with it.
That broken lamp used to be here, right? Just tell me what happened.
Nothing happened, mate. Nothing! And why did the lamp have to be there, of all the bloomin' pointless inquiries? It's my own place. Don't you think I'll know what happens in it?
Because the lamp was always over here, Toad. It was over here, and now it's there. The space in the dust is from where you moved
I
it.
did some refiguring. Who fucking cares? Bloody hell, mate. Come on, get off with this.
Yep, I noticed the door is
And why's the lock
Bucky
busted?
here.
Eh?
The lock. It looks like somebody kicked in the door.
A spot of dust and a broken knot. What are you getting at, mate? Oh, for Christ's sakes, a fucking lock's been busted for weeks, mate. Right, it's just like everything else in this bloody building.
It definitely needs protection. Him and his son for sure. Oh, I didn't even notice this. Wait, look at that in a second. Fireplace poker has blood on it. I missed that.
There's more blood over here.
On the poker?
Yeah. What happened?
Oh, well, that's how it happened, didn't it? I was poking the coals and it slipped a bit. Sliced up in my foot like a seashell. Looked like a shit ugly thing. Okay, Sheriff, now what?
Wait, you dropped it on your foot? You told me before that you cut your hand.
Yeah, no, I did cut my hand. I cut my hand first, and that made me drop the damn thing on my foot. Ruinous flip of events, really. Oh my God, will you not make a big faff out of this? There's nothing to solve here, Sheriff. I'm telling you everything that happened. Why don't you believe me? I mean, things happen, you know.
This apartment's a goddamn mess, Toad. Looks like after a struggle or a fight. And I don't know why you'd cover for it. But I know you're lying about something.
But I'm not.
And you're just gonna make it worse for yourself the longer you keep up the act.
I'm not bullshitting you. Honest.
We'll see.
Alright. Now the window. Ah.
What is it now? If it's blood, you know what happened.
No, there's marks here on the windowsill. And what's that about?
No real reason. Just last night, when I'd come out, I was in a downright tizzy, mate, as you would be. And I plumb forgot the keys to this place.
Yeah,
And
he
I had
does
to
sound
climb
very
in through
worried.
the bloody
Right.
window.
Really?
Hello, Mexter. Welcome on
Scared
in.
Junior off to death. You heard the new Shakin' Stevens album yet?
Might have missed a bit of what he said there.
But you wouldn't need keys, since the lock's broken, so why'd you climb in through the window?
Huh?
Why'd you climb in through the window? You said it yourself. The lock's been rotten for weeks. You wouldn't have needed a key to get in.
Yeah, the
Fucking
soundtrack
hell.
is
What are
soundtracking
you
right
on
now.
about, mate? After the state I was in, I didn't have me head. That's all it was. I forgot the
This
fucking
big
handle was
thinky music.
fucking busted. And I'll tell you what else. It's embarrassing. You bringing all this
Sleuthing
shit
music.
up, all right? So quit it with a third degree and all that. Bigby, come on. I'm begging for mercy over here, old boy. I was looking forward to a nice afternoon. Just me and me son, and you've taken up enough of a day with all this sniffing around at me private belongings. I'm sorry I called, really I am. But will you please just bugger off?
Not yet.
Not yet? No one fought anyone, Bigby. There wasn't any scrap. So when? When are you gonna leave? I mean, I feel like I'm on trial here. In my own bloody home. It's not seemly.
When I figure out what's going on here, Toad, you can help the process along, you know.
How? How am I gonna help the process along?
Oh, okay.
I'll cut me
Thank you for stopping in, Mexter. I appreciate it.
Toad, these stories have made no sense. You didn't cut yourself on the poker.
Is that later in the server?
Didn't forget your keys. You didn't bump the lamp off the table.
Was my bad.
You want to tell me what's going on?
She doesn't think much of me, I don't think.
Oh, I wouldn't necessarily say that. Progress? Mr. Toad, you're bleeding.
Take off the hat.
I was gonna say, he wasn't wearing a hat earlier. Or rather, last time we saw him.
It was that butcher, a Tweedle, Dumody. You gotta strip them down to their johnnies before you can tell which is which. They come bulging in, screaming about something the woodsman had.
Oh, that was you, Sepha.
thought he had.
My
I
bad.
dunno.
I thought that was Mexter's message
He
I
tore up
misread.
the place. Beat me up when I said
Yeah,
I
welcome
didn't
on
have
in
it.
as well,
I
Sepha.
tried to go out the window, but he pulled me back in. It's been a hard morning, I could tell you that.
What was he looking for?
I have no idea. I would have told you. I wanted to, really, I did. But he said if word of this ever got back to him, if he ever thought you knew, or Miss White, he'd come back and kill my boy. I even tried to give the bastard a coat. He wouldn't take it.
Whose coat?
The girl.
Dad borrows things from people who live here. Sometimes.
Borrows?
I don't steal nothing. Turn around here would astonish you, mate. I merely repossess what's been left behind.
Well, we'll be taking the coat now. If she has next of kin, family, anyone.
All right. Fetch him the fur.
Ah, so is
Fine
it going to
bit
be
of
the
dressing,
donkey
is.
skin cloak? Yep.
No, I wouldn't wear it outside.
Wait. It's an envelope.
Fucking hell, of course there is. For my luck, it's a map to some bloody doubloons.
It's addressed to Prince Lawrence. Do you want to try and give it to him, or...?
Don't make it a dilemma.
Doesn't seem right opening another man's mail. Let's try and give it to him.
Okay.
Well, it's been quite a surprising day for all of us, hasn't it? I'd see you out, but I'm afraid of dripping any more blood in the place.
It was very nice talking to you, TJ.
Thanks. See ya.
Male privacy, moral
always
compass.
go that
Yeah.
smoothly?
No,
Not
I.
often.
We'll
So
we'll
the
we'll
prince is
find
now?
out when we get to
Lawrence
him.
is- Yeah. It's our best lead.
Our only lead, really.
I mean, like,
That way.
if dude is still kicking, he can read it off for us. And worst case scenario, if he's not, we can just open it then.
I don't want to stay here any longer than we have to, so let's just pick an approach.
That's my
and stay
reasoning,
smooth, okay?
anyways.
Just humor me.
Shit.
Let's just keep our focus on questioning Lawrence. Where she was, who she was with, that sort of thing.
Sometimes you really do not have enough time to actually fucking figure out what choice you want to make. Hello? Can you... There we go. Walk around. Use them legs, Bigby. The door's open? Oh, dude is dead.
Don't just peep into someone's house. Check if he's home.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's here now. And I'm just gonna open the door because I know that. In case whoever killed this man is still here. Because that man is definitely dead. We will be reading his mail now. Oh, Lord. Are you really gonna flip him over? Yeah, you are a detective and definitely not a fucking forensic scientist.
Hey, stay with me, Lawrence. Gonna be all right.
No. Let me go.
He's not dead. He is in fact alive. That is crazy. I mean, he is a fable,
Bigby,
but
water. Kitchen.
get this man some water. Fuck is the kitchen? Probably need a glass, right? Do I need a glass or can I just get him water? Grab the glass himself. Okay. Not reading that right now. This man's dying. Now imagine if I got a prompt to choose whether or not to give him a drink or take a sip myself.
Something to ask
I
him.
swear to God, if I could take a sip myself, I would do it just for the fucking the funny.
What happened?
Faith.
I know that's fucked up and evil, but just being able to have that reoccurring joke, being able to fucking go the extra mile on that. Oh, dude's dead? What the fuck, dude? Shit. All he said was faith?
Still have that letter.
Yes.
God damn it. Alright, I guess let's read the letter.
Should I open it?
Yes.
I'm not
Yes.
sure if it's right.
Yes, open it. He's dead. We need to figure this shit out. He's dead.
Lead.
I need to know.
What does it say?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Faith.
Big B. Ah, refreshing.
only two
I've been dying
words.
for a drink for hours.
You died
Oops.
without seeing
Sorry,
me.
bud. So real,
I'm
alright?
sorry, too.
So real.
We need to figure out what happened here and find whoever did this.
I mean, apparently the water wasn't doing shit for him anyways. I thought the water would like help bring him back a little bit, especially since he's a fable. I don't know Prince Lawrence's lore. Maybe water make him, you know, heal. Obviously it fucking doesn't. I'm gonna look at the knife.
The mirror showed me this. Maybe I should have come here first. It's sharp, and there's blood on the blade.
I just don't understand. Why would someone want to kill him?
I don't know, man. Read the letter. Or give me the letter to read or something. Is that a bullet hole? That's a bullet hole. This man wasn't only stabbed, he was shot at.
Yeah, the angle works if he shot himself.
I don't think he did this to himself. Though it does look like he's been not doing too hot, given the state of what's going on by his chair. Take the bullet, maybe, because we could... I really wish we had some kind of gloves or something. I mean, there's probably shit that they can do with magic to detect who it was. But, you know. You mean wolf suspects, dude? Yeah, no, this has been a wild turn of events, Nick.
Why do you
This
think I
is
was taken?
racy.
For all this.
I don't think Mr. Wolf is sus. Those footprints? Those look like footprints.
Strange. Hard edge to this pool, like something was here and got moved.
Oh yeah, that makes more sense. No, the wolf is not... The wolf is among us, but not... The wolf is not among us. No sus. No sus.
Still a little sticky.
Yeah, I mean, blood be like that. Is this a bed? A fold-out bed from this? In the closet? That's so fucking crazy. Hold on. So this was down when he or somebody got shot or stabbed. Also, letter.
What is that?
Okay, so maybe this was...
It stuck to the bed a little. My dearest Faith, I never meant to hurt you, and I cannot endure knowing that I have. This was for the best. I'll see you again. Love, your devoted Lawrence.
I don't know if he's the one that wrote that, though.
Hopefully they're together now.
About all we can hope for at this point.
Okay, so that's suspicious. Because why would he do all this to himself and then put the bed up? Why would that note be hidden in the bed? Because the blood splatter is when the bed was down, because there's blood on the bed. So somebody else was here and did this, obviously. Like, whoever did this is trying to set it up to make it look like they did it themselves, that Lawrence did it to himself. That is not the case. That is not the case at all, because this bed was up and this bed has blood all over it. And if he had shot himself, stabbed himself, and did whatever he did to himself, I don't think he would have had the energy to take his note, put it on the bed while he was bleeding out, and then close the bed up most of the way. This shit is placed here. Also, did you even read the letter? Or did she not? I don't remember if she did. Like, I mean, that was the letter that Lawrence supposedly wrote there, but I don't think she read off his letter that Faith left for him.
Secondhand paperbacks. Old encyclopedias.
I definitely do have a mystery on my hands, Sepha. I definitely do.
Dusty. No one's read these in a while.
Let's check the kitchen, because I did see the note on the fridge. Hopefully this isn't just like a shitty grocery list. Not an F. The rent next week. Pizza in the fridge. Hold on. Pay the rent next week. Pizza in the fridge. Please don't look for me. Goodbye. F. Wait, is this is to Lawrence from Faith. Okay. Interesting. Is he... Hold on. His eyes are closed. Wait, was he looking at something when he passed? Because he didn't really get to say much. Shell casing. Gun. Let's take a look at this.
What is it?
This gun wasn't fired recently. Maybe a week ago. Or more.
Interesting. So has he been... He's been like this for a week? Because, I mean, like, we're not going to be able to know with, you know, them being fables and their mortality being different. Look at the shell casing. Match up with the bullet? Probably. Fan is on.
That doesn't really help.
No, but it does, because I can look at these.
What are they?
Prescription sleeping pills.
So he was probably having trouble sleeping because Faith had left him and he had no idea where she was. Okay.
Fingerprints?
They'll be on the grip and the trigger.
I will say, bro has those fucking checkerboard bands. Bro was styling. Bro had the fashion. He knew what was up. He was one of those emo skater kids. I guess he wouldn't be a kid because he's like fucking 1,000 years old or however old fables are, but he was hip. He was with the time. What about the letter? What? Ah. Bro, someone's in here. Yep.
Stay here.
Well, thankfully we got all the information we needed.
Hey! Stop! Leave me alone!
Went through the wrong door. Oh, fuck. Got your ass. Wasn't perfect. Did it. Hell yeah.
Ease up, Bigby.
Yeah, I noticed on the door right after that the shit was
Son of a
spinning.
bitch. Make me run after you.
Yeah, the letter 3 or the number 3 was hanging off of the other door. I
What
should
were
have
you
realized
doing
that.
back there?
Had some questions for Larry. Didn't think it'd go how it did.
A man's dead.
I know how it looks, but I had nothing to do with that.
You're
Bullshit.
covered in blood,
You're
dude.
covered in blood.
Look, I was just asking him about the girl, that's all. When I mentioned her being dead, he freaked out. I figured someone had told him. How was I supposed to know? Shit. Fucker shot himself right in front of me. I couldn't stop him, man. You're looking for the woodsman, right? I know where he is. My guy says he's holed up at the Trip Trap. We can go over there right now, the both of us. My employer's looking to ask him a few questions, too.
Who's
your
your
boss?
employer?
I can't tell you that. It's confidential. Sorry. Sure you understand.
Nope. Can't say that I do. Come on. You're coming with me.
This could have been easy.
Oh, don't worry. It still is. Come on.
Dumb.
Dumb? Yeah, it is. Look, it'd be much easier for you
No, I'm D. He's dumb.
Damn it. Imagine.
Yeah, it's peaceful.
Who would have thought?
Yep.
Except you're lying in a dirty alley.
Yep.
With an open wound on the back of your
Well,
head.
we know he and Dumb are now.
Where'd they go?
Well, after the one guy hit you, and the other one finished kicking you,
That explains the ribs.
Bam, indeed.
then they jumped into a car and drove off. Come on, get
Should
up.
have hit him.
Guess we're out of options.
Dee mentioned the Trip Trap.
Then that's where we'll go. I'll call a cab.
I think we're getting close to the end of episode 1. I think when we do finish episode 1, we'll probably go on a little
Every
break.
time I think I'm getting a handle on what's going on, things just get more complicated. It feels like we're always a step behind.
The woodsman is the only lead we've got, and he was one of the last people to see Faith alive. Getting some answers out of him will start to clear things up.
I hope you're right. Bigby? Be honest with me. Who do you think did this? I know it's still early, but I just feel
Or?
a step behind. It's an uncomfortable feeling.
It wasn't D.
We haven't talked to him yet, but
Tell me. I don't think anything would surprise me at this point.
I feel like
I feel
Bluebeard
like
has
D and
something
Dumb
to do with
probably
this.
work for
I had the same
Bluebeard.
suspicion.
I don't know how or why just yet, but if you're asking, this is his M.O. There's still a lot of questions. We find the woodsman, figure out what he knows, and go from there.
Makes sense. That's probably the best approach.
Something's telling me that Bluebeard is probably was Faith's pimp too, but can't really figure that out.
Thanks
I
for
wish
you.
there was.
Considering the magic thing, the binding of not being able to say.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's nothing. I just. Seeing all this today, there are fables that are struggling worse than I'd imagined. We pay so much attention to the residents of the woodlands. You forget there's a whole community out there to serve. To have to turn to prostitution. I wish there was more we could do. This isn't how I thought it would be. But Crane runs things his own way.
You're doing your best. It's all anyone can do.
Obviously, you don't know what I do all day. Right now, I'm the gatekeeper, making sure none of these disenfranchised folks are, as he puts it, wasting his time.
You'll fix it.
Crane's kind of a dick. It's barely a fable.
I don't know. It's just a broken system. The fables who walk in through the back door like Bluebeard, we have all the time in the world for them. You try and come in through the front door, through the proper channels, asking for anything, needing help. Well, I turn you away. Now things are worse off than they've ever been.
Well, that's not true.
Right. We've had it worse, but not by much. Maybe this isn't for me. I thought public service was pure. A way to help.
You'll figure it out. You're better than I am with this political stuff.
Well, that's not saying much.
I trust you to make the right decision.
I hope you're right. Maybe you should handle this one.
Wait.
Maybe I should.
Bigby. Just be careful, please.
The same goes for you.
I will.
What do you want, Sheriff?
I was in the neighborhood. Thought I'd pop in and say hello.
Well, fucking hello. Now you can get the fuck out of here.
Look, I'm not even gonna ask where he is now, okay? I just want to know the last time he was here. That's all.
Who?
I'm being nice, so try again.
He hasn't been here for a few weeks. No, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, he hasn't been here in a while, if he's been here at all, which... I don't know.
I'd just like some help, and I'll be out of here.
Well, I'd be willing to help you out of here. Would that help?
Hmm.
He a regular?
I don't know who you're talking about.
The one with the bald head and the beard.
Never seen him.
What do you mean never seen him? He's on your fucking picture board right up there. Well, at least you got a photo of him fucking back to the wall up there.
These walk out the door?
Yeah, it's called advertising.
You get a refund?
Fuck you. The word's getting out.
You'll never guess where I found the other one of these.
No, I won't.
His place.
There's just a drink sitting here, huh?
Whose is that?
Someone who left.
Why didn't you dump
Why
them?
didn't you dump it? If you want a cleaner place, feel free to get the fuck out of here. I'm sensing a very hostile tone from you. Don't deny it. I'm good at picking up on this stuff.
I don't even think we have any money.
Let me solve the mystery for you. They're pickled eggs.
Oh, I know what they are. I'm just trying to figure out why anyone would eat this. A lot of stools in this place. But there's only one right next to you.
You gonna order something? Or you just here to bother my customers? You know what I mean.
Give me a Midas Gold.
You want a lime?
No.
Well, I don't got any anyway.
Think that's funny? Yep. Think it's fucking hilarious. It was all right. Come on, guys. I don't want to be here. You don't want me here. The sooner you answer my questions, the sooner I'll be out of here.
Wonder who that could be.
Ollie, you're out
Oh
of paper
my
towels in there.
goodness. Imagine. The man you never seen. He's here.
Saved your beer for you. Holly wanted to clear it, but I said no. He'll be back. Now here you are.
You and me been going at it for hundreds of years. I'm through fighting.
Well, Woody, that makes two of us. You're in luck. I decided to switch seats. I just want to talk. This doesn't have to go like this. Maybe he don't want to talk to you. Why don't we let him tell me that?
It's okay, Gren.
It's funny. Just a minute ago, no one seemed to know who you were.
Yeah, well, everyone knows you. The big bad wolf. Now I'm the bad guy and you're a sheriff. What kind of fucking world is that, huh?
Not exactly comfortable with it either, but hey, you play the hand you're dealt.
Well, some folks are forced to play with shit.
That's a lovely image.
Guess you want to know about the girl.
Amongst other things, sure.
I'd walk past her place for weeks. She didn't look like it, but she had money. I was sure of it. And she wouldn't put up any kind of fight. I was gonna rob her. And the night I finally get up the nerve to do it, there you are, fucking things up for me. You were just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
So, you were planning on robbing her?
Yeah, her and her grandma.
Grandma? Wait, what are you talking about?
Red Riding Hood, her grandmother. I was there to rob them. But when I showed up, you were already there, lying in the bed. I only saved her because I thought she might give me a reward. But she didn't give me shit. Except a bunch of people thinking I'm something I ain't. I played along as I could. Only thing I managed to get from it was a free drink every now and again. Not a good that did.
Did you kill Faith?
What? Faith? Who's
The
that?
girl you were beaten on this morning.
No. I was here. I swear.
Doesn't look good when a girl you were just smacking around shows up dead hours later.
She's dead? Bigby, listen, I'm a piece of shit, okay? I know that. I hit that girl, I did. I shouldn't have, but I didn't kill her. You believe me, right? They're gonna string me up, Bigby. Like you said, it looks fucking bad. It looks really bad, but I didn't do it.
He was here. That's the fucking truth, Sheriff.
You see? Bigby, please. You can't. They'll throw me down the witching well. That's what they'll do. And I didn't do it. You know that. Hey, stop! This isn't what I want.
Oh, shut the fuck up, Woody! Shit ain't just about you. It's about this fucking lapdog. Only comes sniffing around this part of town when the rich fucks in the woodlands need a shakedown. Ain't that right, Bigby?
You're backing the wrong guy. If you saw what I saw last night, you'd know that.
What I see is someone who wouldn't be here if I was the one needing the law for some help.
Not what I meant to click.
Holly's sister goes missing. No one gives two shits about her. Paperwork, waiting rooms, and that bitch Snow White looking right past me, then ushering me out the fucking door.
Anyone tell you you've got a big fucking mouth?
Oh, it gets bigger.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Should have walked out of here when you had the chance.
Come on, you're scaring the lady.
Don't worry about me.
Ah, shit. Had to get my ass kicked here. It's fine. I just out cold now. Fuck. Oh no. Listen here, fucker. You need to calm down.
He's had enough.
Yeah. Bro got the gorilla walk. Yeah.
Whiskey. Double.
Yeah. And Bigby out here just getting his ass kicked just for trying to do his job. Do I even have money for the drink?
Shit. It's not like you were gonna pay for it anyway.
Don't.
Bro, I'm not even gonna run. Like, just chill.
Is this the type of treatment I can expect if I let you take me in?
Bro, he came at me.
Hey, he started it.
All right, I got $100 for the first bloke that can tell me something about a girl named. Fuck.
Wood, you're good. This fucker has information.
Fuck,
Woodsman,
man. That's
I
not
can find him
necessary.
easy.
Shit. He's the one you want, not me.
Your brother
he's
won't be
not.
saving you this time. Come on. You're under arrest.
I told you I didn't do it.
And you got nothing to worry about.
Is bro still covered in blood?
Do anything stupid, and I'll throw you down the witching well myself.
Fuck! What? Oh. Yeah, no, you're right. That is not a good sign. That was a terrible sign. Fuck.
We had something very special.
Where's your brother?
Fuck you. Give me one good reason I should tell you anything.
Serial killer.
Oh my.
A serial killer? Oh God, and it's one of us?
Wait, the woodsman's still walking the streets.
We've got to put a lid on this. If you can't manage it, I'll find someone who can.
I found out where she's been staying.
I know she's here. You must have seen her. What are the two of you hiding?
Thanks for not saying anything.
Doesn't matter. Maybe you just want to punish someone. We can arrange that.
What did you do?
Friend on friend. At the end of the end.
Jesus Christ, Bigby. Is that you?
Did you give Faith money? You and 84.5% of players gave Faith the money. Yep. Did you tell Beast the truth about Beauty? You and 19.5% of players tried to stay out of it. Yeah, that's fair. Where'd you decide to go first? You decided to go see Lawrence, you and 69. Hey! It's good enough to funny number. Yeah, no shit. Only 19% of people are unproblematic. No shit, though. Yeah, because no, to me, like, that seems like, given what I read in the case file on both of them, or in the Beast, whatever the hell it was, the Fable Index, like, they've been together for centuries. If I don't know, if she's doing some other shit, that's between the two of them. That's some relationship shit, and that is out of Bigby's field of expertise. Like, that's not his job. He's not a counselor. He's not gonna sit here and fucking narc and be like, hey, yeah, no, all this shit. Like, I don't know how close him and Beast are, like, but at the same time, like, Big B's just trying to do his job and, like, I guess atone for being the big bad wolf or whatever the fuck. Like, I don't know, dude. Like, on one hand, sure, maybe he should have told Beast, like, yeah, I don't know, I seen her run off, but What happened to Prince Lawrence? You did not prevent Prince Lawrence's death. So yeah. It's kind of what I figured when I said we have a pivotal choice to make. Who is your prime suspect? You and 13.3% of players pointed the finger towards Bluebeard. See, I would say the pimp, but I didn't have the pimp's name. I have no, like, information on the pimp other than he was Faith's pimp. That's all I know. I got no name, no nothing. Don't even know what he looks like. I mean, I do now because, you know, the game's showing me. Otherwise, I wouldn't fucking know. Also, 4% of people are fucking insane. If that was like their actual rational choice that they decided and wasn't like a repeat playthrough just to see like what came up. Like, truly the most logical choice would probably be the pimp. But given I had no information on the pimp, it would be kind of weird to just immediately say it was him, other than, you know, yeah, there would be problems if she came up short. Tweedledee and Tweedledum kind of makes sense because they're like fucking going around extorting people for information about her death. Woodsman, I think Woodsman is an idiot, but I don't think he's a serial killer. I don't think he's a good man or a good person in general, but I don't think he did it. He just seems like, I don't know, some asshole who's trying to get money and shit. Given, you know, the way that they talk about everybody's out here living, you know, especially like being out here versus the farm, money hard. Everybody need money. So I don't condone it, but I can see his logic with wanting to just, you know, rob people and shit. I don't know if that was the same situation with Faith. I don't think I really got to question what the deal with that was, or if he was just, you know, paying for a lady of the night. But yeah, who did you arrest? When it came down to the wire, you and 68.7% of players made sure Tweedledee didn't get away. Yeah, logical. I wonder if that discussion is still taking place. Imagine. Anyways. Credits. We might take a 5-minute break after these credits. Maybe like 10-minute break. Let's do 10 minutes. Unless, I don't know. Do you guys want to do another episode? These seem like they are about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. No, 2 hours and 30 minutes. Because we did just like straight up start streaming. I don't know. Because I wanna leave something for us to come back to. Like, I don't expect to finish this all in one go, obviously. And I think there's 5 episodes. What do you guys think? Because I'm also probably not gonna stop it in the middle of the episode if we hit the 4-hour mark, or yeah, 4-hour mark. If we start the next episode, we'll finish the episode. But if not, we can come back to this next week and just start episode 2. How are y'all feeling? Because I know it's a Monday anyways. Like, I'm sure a lot of you guys just have this on in the background while you're at work or whatever. Doing whatever you do. I will say, though, it's a damn good game. Damn good Telltale game. Extras. Tell you what. There is a lot to catch up on. We will take a 10-minute break. Come back. We'll read a few fables. See how we're feeling. I will see y'all in a little bit. Alright, we're back. Right, I'm not using the controller. We're back. I hope everybody had a good little break. Everybody did what they needed to do, take care of themselves. Go ahead and read through some of these fables. And then afterwards, we'll see what we're doing. Start with Snow White. Snow White may seem cold, but this stems from her life of mistreatment and abuse back in the homelands. After escaping, there's assault and imprisonment. Not to mention an attempt on her life, she married Prince Charming. It wasn't long before Snow discovered that Charming cheated on her with her estranged sister, Rose Red. He divorced him. After the Exodus, Snow focused her attention on setting up a safe haven for fables in the New World. He now serves as the assistant to the deputy mayor of Fabletown. You've read up on the woodsman. Something changed. I feel like that's the same. You have Faith now. Faith, Donkey Skin Girl. Faith, otherwise known as Donkey Skin Girl, made it through the Exodus from the magical homelands with the clothes on her back, her husband, and nothing else. She was once a beautiful princess, happily married to Prince Lawrence of a neighboring kingdom. Her life should have had a happy ending, but the mundane city of New York wasn't kind to her or her marriage. With no money, Faith found herself turning tricks to make the rent for a cheap apartment on the outskirts of Fabletown. She had a difficult life, but she did whatever she could to survive in an unfair world. Read up on Colin. Colin is better known as one of the three little pigs. Back in the homelands, they were harassed by the big bad wolf who blew down Colin's house of straw. Okay, so he's a straw pig. After the Exodus, Colin and the other fables who couldn't pass for humans were sent to live at the farm in upstate New York. Unable to stand such a boring life, Colin constantly makes trips down to Fabletown to bother Bigby. He is always caught and sent back to the farm, but he doesn't let that stop him. Ichabod Crane, deputy mayor of Fabletown. Hailing from the haunted town of Sleepy Hollow, Ichabod Crane has been deputy mayor of Fabletown for nearly 115 years. Okay, so that tells you how long at least he's been mayor of Fabletown. Crane is a bundle of nerves and takes his job very seriously. Though that doesn't mean he always does it well. As one of Fabletown's elite, Crane is often blind to the trouble of the less well-off citizens. Overall, Crane is authoritarian, cowardly, and always hiding something. I'm not gonna say nothing about that, but oh boy. Yeah, kinda sounds like a shitty leader, huh? Buffkin, Fabletown librarian. Buffkin is the talking winged monkey from the land of Oz. Now a Fabletown's librarian, he spends his time reading and stealing the deputy mayor's booze. You know what, Buffkin? I get it. Warranted. He's prone to mischief, so when something goes wrong, he assumes he'll receive the lion's share of the blame. He's helpful when he wants to be, but most of the time he'd rather be drinking. Someone would have fired him long time ago, but he's the only one who can make sense of the filing system. I'm like, yeah, Mondays, non-fables. Short for mundane, Mundy is a catch-all term that fables use to refer to the non-magical inhabitants of their adopted home. Warding spells placed around the blocks of Fabletown and Farm keep their minds distracted and dull within certain boundaries. However, if anything should pique the curiosity of Scrunty or a large group of Mundies, if anything should pique the curiosity or scrutiny, I don't know what scrutiny is. Anyways, scrutiny of a large group of Mundies, these magical protection charms will be overloaded and fail. As the sheriff of Fabletown, one of Bigby's primary functions is ensuring the Fabletown community maintains a low profile. Move on to Prince Lawrence, Faith's husband. After escaping the homelands, Prince Lawrence and his wife, Faith... Wait, did we skip one? No, it's just... Okay. After escaping the homelands, Prince Lawrence and his wife, Faith, immediately fell victim to the harsh realities of the mundane world. They moved to New York, hoping to find aid in community of fellow Fables, but without enough money to live in Fabletown, they had to settle on an apartment on the outskirts of the neighborhood. Unfortunately, that meant they were out of sight and out of mind when it came to the government assistance. Their prospects dwindling, Faith left Lawrence to try and make it on her own. Now, without his wife for support, Lawrence struggles to motivate himself and quickly sinks into depression. X. That makes sense. Tweedle Brothers. The Tweedles, hired goons. Tweedle Brothers, Dumb and Dee, are thugs for hire. They appear human, allowing them to carry out their contracts in Mundy world without drawing suspicion. Inseparable as they are ruthless. They are as inseparable as they are ruthless. So we got Holly, Trip Trap owner. Holly is a no-nonsense kind of troll and the owner of Trip Trap Bar. She glamored to appear human, but her patrons know better. Holly takes good care of her regulars, often the downtrodden Fables with little to spare, but she has no patience for Fabletown's government that has done nothing to locate her missing sister. You know, that kind of makes sense why she was a little aggro with us then. I get it. Randall just wants to be left alone. Grifter. Randall just wants to be left alone. In the old days, he terrorized Norse meat halls, but lately he can be found occupying the stool in various quiet, dumpy bars around New York. He hates the noise of the city, but must work there to afford his glamour. Despite his gruff bearing, he's fiercely loyal to those who have learned to offer him the space and silence he desires. Talking to him is like watching a time bomb tick down. It's only a matter of time. Looks like we missed one thing. Bigby's Mercy. Ah, I see now. That's what we In days leading up to the Exodus, Big Bad Wolf hunted armies of men and goblins in the Black Forest. These invading forces had driven off the great beast's preferred quarry, and their own flesh was rotten with corruption. Hardly a suitable replacement, he made it his game to destroy their camps, devour their night watchmen, and disrupt their supply trains, while sparing their prisoners. One day, he broke their ranks and discovered a particular woman they had held captive. Her skin was as white as snow, but her hair was as dark as the night sky. He approached her, and she, knowing no sword could match the giant wolf's power, bravely placed her shackles in the beast's mouth. He freed her, but years would pass before the two met again in the Mundy world. Okay, so there's some Snow White, Big Bad Wolf lore, Snow and Bigby lore, as to why, you know, he's so keen on her and everything, and the history they had. Oh. Do this just to get off the screen. Boom, boom, boom. Cool. So how are we feeling, everybody? I would start another episode, but I'm fucking dead tired. And I don't want to start it, stop halfway through. So I think next time when we do this, I will do episode 2 and 3 together. I think this is a good place to stop it, get a taste, you know, keep you a little bit on edge with the story. But yeah. Let's move over to just chatting for now. Remember which one that is. There we go. This. Game is closed. Oh. Let's see who's on. Maybe we can give this raid thing a shot, raid into somebody. Unless that's something I have to wait for to be able to do. I feel like I should be able to raid. No raid message though. I mean, we just started, so it's just gonna be soft raiding if we do raid into somebody. Just see who's live. We got. Yeah, I mean, there are folks on, but I don't think there's anything that really is gonna be same vibe, unless anybody has suggestions in the chat. If not, oh, I think we're definitely gonna call it here for today. I'm probably gonna relax, get some food. If y'all haven't, y'all should do the same when you need to. Appreciate everybody coming out and watching, lurking, chatting. Nick, I'm sorry. I'm gonna shout you out again, dude. If anybody's interested, y'all should go check out Just Nick. They will be streaming The Walking Dead Telltale Game Season 2 tomorrow. No, Wednesday? Tomorrow. Wednesday. Silent Hill is tomorrow. That's right. So yeah, go check out Just Nick. Stream The Walking Dead. They're going to be doing Silent Hill 4 The Room tomorrow. And quite a few other games. They're pretty chill. I think if you vibe with this, you'll definitely vibe with their streams. But thank you everybody for coming out. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day time zone, and we will be back Friday at 6 p.m. EDT with Silent Hill 1. And then the next Wolf Among Us stream will probably be Monday as well, but I might move it to like actual nighttime. Not sure yet. We'll see. I'll probably keep it around the same schedule. I'll just have more energy next time because I did not get that much rest. But thank you everybody for being here. I hope you have a good one. Bye. You would come in as I'm ending. Hi, Skip. I love you too, buddy. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. Yeah. We were here. Hold on. False alarm. Let me go back to just chatting for a moment. Yeah. Hey man. we were streaming The Wolf Among Us. What's going on? I just I started the other day. Good to see you. Thank you for coming in. Sorry you missed the stream. You can catch up on the VOD. Oh. But yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna be working on some stuff some more, but it's coming together. Appreciate you coming out here, big dog. You guys also guess what I can do? You guys love Pokemon. Hold on. Like Pokemon, and I think you've been doing some VA stuff over on Mimi's for Danganronpa and stuff too. If you guys like Pokemon and like Pokerogue and other stuff like that, you should check out Skip. Skip does some streaming too. Woohoo! I know you also do like your daily Wordle, Porter Robbins, and stuff and all that too. Yeah, Skip is chill. What you mean hold up? What you mean hold up? I'm holding up, Skip. My up has been holding. The up is held. I don't know how long this up can be held. Yeah, no, we will be back Friday with Silent Hill 1, Saturday with more Deadly Premonition 2. What do you mean MBMB? You good? No worries. Thank you for the permission. I appreciate it. I love you too, man. Thank you for swinging by. You think you just get to pop in here without getting a shout out? Nah, that's crazy. Gotta shout out the homies. But yeah, we'll be back with Silent Hill 1 on Friday, Deadly Premonition 2 on Saturday, and then more Wolf Among Us Monday. I'm gonna probably be working on stream stuff here, getting a little more not busy, but do a little more work on it, figure out some stuff with it, figure out stream elements and stuff, get everything working. Maybe switch out the chat box. I mean, the chat box is fine, but might see about like stream avatars or something. But thank you all again for being here, and I will see you in the future. Take care. Bye-bye.